I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, August the 14th, brought to you in part by Livestock Risk Services. Of course, that's Dakota Moss, who offices there at the Exchange Building at the Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, and then his team of agents that he works with. They are your LRP specialists, and we're definitely seeing now why we need LRPs for protection after your board dropped so much early last week. And some people are frustrated as this market's been going up that they haven't really paid off on the LRPs, but it's just like taking insurance out on your $80,000 pickup. You probably won't turn it in if you just get a door ding or hit the gooseneck on your tailgate, but you take it out because of a disaster, of a total out. And we kind of saw that could definitely happen here early last week. But if you're interested in LRPs, check them out at livestockriskservices.com. Board and moods improve here early to midweek, and it seems like it's always that way, but even more so since we saw the big sell-off early last week. If your board's up a little bit, everybody's mood is great. If it's down a little bit, the world's coming to an end. And it doesn't seem to matter how much it's up or down. It's just which direction it's going. And if we really broke it down and looked at how little trade is actually occurring, especially here as we approach middle of this week, I mean, our trade volume is down to almost nothing as our long positions were just purged there the end of the first week of August there, and there's just not a lot of trade going on in our cattle futures right now. And the algorithms are completely taking over. And if we saw any amount of trade at all, whichever direction it would go, the algorithms would take it a long ways in that direction. So when you see minor moves, trend changes there, you know there's not a whole lot going on. But you know, we know that feed's cheap. Corn is back down under $4 a bushel for new crop December corn. And so that is going to put cheap gains on there. They're expecting a big bumper crop of corn and expecting production to be larger than what usage is again. So we can expect corn to be cheap. If only we had cheap interest like we did back during the Trump years. I mean, we could be feeding these high dollar cattle really cheap and being able to back them up even more. But the way it is right now, it's kind of putting a curse on us right now, and these cattle are not protecting very well for these big feedlots. I mean, they're trying to get protection by taking straight up hedges on your cattle futures, and then they cannot protect them. They don't pencil out very well, guys. But you know, it seems like when the board's up just a little bit, then they add a little bit to the bids on your feeder cattle. Everybody's happy, and then they want to give way more for calves than probably what they're worth. And then if it's down, you know, nobody's interested in anything. But that's just kind of the way it goes from one day to the other. I want to tell you guys about a personal story, and you guys love my personal stories. But one of the best honors I've ever received, and I received it 3 years ago, was I received the Buffalo Award from West Texas A&M University Ag Development Group there. And it was mainly because I helped with the annual Ag Day celebration, and they have a big fundraiser there, and I've helped auctioneers since I've come back to Texas the last 7 or 8 years, helped my good friend Ty Cranmer, who's been selling it since it first began. He and I grew up together and took a summer trip to auctioneer school about 32 years ago. But been having fun. It's a fun event, been doing that. Always keep the first part of September wide open there, so I know whenever they're going to have that Ag Day celebration and fundraiser that I want to be available to go to that. But I found out on Tuesday that I will not be able to help auctioneer this time. Texas Cattle Feeders Association put a call into the WT Ag Development Group and told them that they were not going to be participating if I was going to be participating in that event. So you guys know that Texas Cattle Feeders and I'm just one guy sitting here with a little YouTube channel, and they're flexing their muscle to keep me out of doing something like that. You know, I've got my youngest daughter, she's slated to go to WT and be in the ag department coming this fall, and yet I won't be participating in the Ag Day celebration there. Texas Cattle Feeders and I have been at odds on several issues. You know, I mean, I'm pretty easy. I support small producers, I support auction markets, I support negotiated trade, and I'm totally against mandatory EID tags. And EID tags is where it's really come to a head there. And in February at the NCBA convention, you know, I was just telling people what was about to happen. They were about to impose a rule where all classes of cattle had to be mandatory EID tagged, and it's not possible. It's absolutely not possible, and most people that understand how this industry works realize that it wasn't possible, especially your auction markets, and there was kind of an uprising, and they ended up not putting that as policy with NCBA. Well, Texas Cattle Feeders Association did not like that. And so now I guess they're out to target me for everything. But, you know, that's okay. That's okay. No big deal. You know, I get multiple requests every week to come and speak or maybe auctioneer at a special cattle auction somewhere. And I don't do that stuff for free, people. And I do a lot of it, but I can't do that much of it because my schedule won't allow it. But that stuff is not free. But I am not allowed to go 3 miles from the house and volunteer my time to help my alma mater and a place where my children are going to school. So, you know, I guess I could have said, you know, I'm not sending my daughter to school here to this ag department, you know, if this group or that group is involved in this, but I'm not woke, and I don't, you know, participate in cancel culture or anything like that. So we'll just do something else on September the 7th. Maybe I'll go sell some cattle somewhere or do something like that. But I don't think any less of the WT Ag Development Association, and I couldn't think any less of the Texas Cattle Feeders Association after they went around in packs on the NCBA trade floor and tried to convince all of my sponsors not to do business with me, which all of them but one told them to take a hike. But let's talk about something else. How about elite livestock sales? That's the old gang from the Montgomery Stockyards in Montgomery, Alabama. They're having a big sale on Thursday. They're calling it the Ring the Bell sale. They've got 42 loads, mostly yearlings coming off summer grass. They've got a couple deals of weaned calves and a deal or two of some unweaned calves, but it's mostly long-aged yearlings there that's been local cattle that were backgrounded on grass there locally. But the sale is going to be coming to you from the headquarters there, Hope Hull, Alabama, just right outside Montgomery. It's going to be on DVAuction.com. Get a hold of them early. Call Daryl Stokes and tell him that you want to be approved. Get a hold of Jerry Etheridge. Find out some more about the cattle, and then get a hold of Wesley Grantham and find out how he's getting these Mississippi cattle in there. Got several long strings from Mississippi. He's got cattle in there from Florida, Alabama, and even Georgia, guys. But be some really, really nice yearling cattle on there. Go on to DV Auction just as soon as you can. Select the Elite Livestock Sale and look at all the videos of the cattle that they've got consigned for that special video sale. Let's talk about your board on Tuesday. August live cattle futures were up 67 cents at 184. October up 72 at 180.75. Your back months were all up from $1.02 to $1.87. August feeder cattle up 207 at 246.47. September was up 267 at 242.17. And your back months were all up on feeder cattle from 220 to 252 higher. So it was kind of a banner day on your cattle board there. December corn, like I said earlier, down 4 1/4 cents a bushel at 397 1/4. November beans down 23 1/2, ouch, at 962 1/2. And Kansas City hard red winter wheat down 1/2 cent a bushel at 547 3/4. Fat cattle trade, we haven't seen any direct trade really take off. We did see a couple deals on Monday. Iowa sold a load of cattle direct at 191, which would be towards the bottom of their spread. 350 head sell in Texas at 185, which they had some other sales that way late last week. But most everybody keeping the gates locked. They would like to see some of this higher board soak in a little bit before they started trying to sell fat cattle this week. But we did have a market maker, like we do every Tuesday at Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. They had 1,000 head of fats come in overnight, had 1,700 fats altogether. Gary Marks shared this information with me. Conventional cattle, just a straight up fat steers and heifers, bring from 187.50 to 194.75. Mostly steady, maybe a tick higher, but mostly steady. Your non-implanted cattle didn't really have enough drug-free cattle to make a market, but your non-implanted cattle sold from 189 to 196.50, and that also was mostly steady, maybe just a pinch higher here and there, but pretty good sale there. Gary said that the cattle were more attractive than in recent weeks, and that all the buyers were participating and seemed fairly aggressive there. Don't forget, today here on Wednesday, Stockman's Livestock in Yankton, South Dakota is having their barbecue special, and they've got 5,500 head of top quality feeder cattle and calves here to sell, and it's on DVAuction. They recently added DV broadcasting there. Let's talk about your box beef cutout values. They were up again on Tuesday, up big on Monday, up again on Tuesday. Choice cuts up $1.10 at $316.93. Selects were up 44 cents at $300.61. Your slaughter gaining a little, but it fell behind bad on Monday. But up through the first 2 days of this week, 234,000 estimated slaughter on cattle. That's 7,000 less than last week at this point, 10,000 less than the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Performance Livestock Analytics. That's software, guys, to help you compete, especially you small producers. Performance beef. With Performance beef, you can build your own ration or let your nutritionist update your rations on the fly. Also, you can eliminate those small ingredient mistakes that happen sometimes and add up over time. For more information, go to performancelivestockanalytics.com. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DVAuction. Based on an 800-pound cash auction steer up through your middle 12 states. Late on Tuesday, it was sitting at 245.86, actually down 97 cents after being up a little bit on Monday. But still, it's running higher than your latest CME cash feeder cattle index, which was at 245.09. Also on DVAuction here today, on Wednesday, Ogallala Livestock Auction will be broadcasting on DVAuction for the first time. So sure glad to have them add DVAuction broadcasting. You can view and bid all of their sales from now on, and we're glad to be part of them. That's a reputable market up there in western Nebraska. Talking about your big sales on Tuesday, Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri had about 3,050 head through the ring. Another 430 some that they sold with an in-house video that they do with help from DVAuction. And it was a similar market to what we saw in our big sales on Monday. Your feeders were higher, $2 to $4 higher, and your calves were more higher than the big down week we had last week after the board crash. But calves were $4 to $8 higher, with spots as much as $12 higher on the first bigger sale that we've seen at West Plains there for the last 2 or 3 weeks. It's just been so hot in that part of the country, but it was a little bit cooler and a good time to market the cattle. Another sale, Rezac Livestock Commission in St. Mary's, Kansas had a good sale on there, especially on their 9-weight strings of cattle. Look at them right here. And their 9 weights in St. Mary's at Rezac, they averaged 960 pounds with a weighted average price on all the 9 weights of $235.58 on some heavy 9s right there, which I thought was pretty impressive, including that bottom lot there, 66 head of 906-pound steers at St. Mary's, Kansas, that bring $246.50. 241, 2 or 3 would have been a huge price late last week, guys. Another market we've never talked about before. How about Northwest Livestock Commission in Hermiston, Oregon? They sell 218 steers They weighed 811 pounds and bring 255. Very impressive for way out west there in the Northwest, guys. How about back in the central part of the country, some pretty impressive quotes. Lolly Brothers Livestock Market, been a DV auction broadcaster forever. They sold some heifers, some feeder heifers there, and I mean the good kind. They're in Macon, Missouri. 79 heifers, weighed 596, almost 600 pounds at $282.85. Very impressive. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday in your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Kingsville Livestock Auction in Kingsville, Missouri. It was some more feeder heifers, 66 of them, weighed 731 and bring 260. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.